Hi, and welcome to episode 3 of In Our AI Era with Tina and Ragnar. Ragnar, do you have a hook for us today?
The hook is going to be around the hooks in Claude code.
Remember, the main topic is Claude Managed Agents.
I'm also excited. We have some demos for the Claude managed agent.
In today's episode, we have a new segment, which we'll call AI Concept of the Week. And the idea is that each week, each of us can bring one new word or buzz phrase or concept that we learned. So, do you have a concept of the week, Ragnar?
Yeah, like I mentioned, today's topic is hooks. So if you haven't been using hooks, you're not using your Claude code or GitHub CLI to the fullest. So what are hooks, right? So hooks are like event-driven callbacks that let you run your custom logic automatically during these agent workflows. So if you have been using your agent workflows, these hooks are nothing but scripts that run automatically on your Claude code. The beauty of these hooks is they are not part of your conversation. They live outside of your conversation. So they execute outside that context window, which makes it zero tokens for you to use. So hooks are a very nice way to make sure you're getting all the triggers and things right. So in another way, if you can think of hooks are nothing but triggers or interceptor inside that agent that you're using. So a lot of the times we don't consider using Cloud Code or GitHub CLI as an agent, but if you think of it as an agent, hooks will help you there. So they fire when something happens. It's like our Power Platform we used to have before a tool runs or after a tool runs or when a session starts or ends. These hooks are the middleware for those agents to confirm with you on, hey, I'm doing this right, or what am I doing here? Do I need any support or things like that? So they sit in between the steps. You might have seen a lot of pop-ups come up. Those are also some kind of hooks you can think of. So hooks are mostly user-defined shell commands. So they could be HTTP endpoints or LLM prompts that execute automatically at a specific point in the lifecycle of how you are using your agent.
Very interesting. And I think we need a deep dive on that in the future. But since this is AI Concept of the Week, we're just doing a couple of minutes on each topic. And the topic that I brought, or my AI Concept of the Week, is taste or human judgment. And I know that it's not new this week or even a technical topic, but I have been hearing this in every podcast that I listened to this week or every article that I read. It's kind of reaching a fever pitch of attention. And what it means is that judgment and taste have just really become so important. And the new human edge in this era where, everyone can create anything. We've kind of democratized being able to do things and create things. And so competence is the new assumption or baseline. And what differentiates people is the judgment and the taste that they have and the experience. And this counts for anything you can create with AI. So, any AI output, so design work or videos or sound or software. And it's something that you need to develop over time. And I think the thing that we all have to focus on in the coming years is putting in the time to develop that kind of judgment to know, is this what I created really good? Or is it, a security threat or actually just really horrible because it's AI slope? So yeah, I've been hearing that everywhere this week.
So I love it, Tina. I think that's the biggest IP for anyone in AI nowadays. Because if you ask me what is your AI edge, for me it's like my taste is evolved with people around me, right? Like so when we are talking here today or when we're talking to our colleagues in AI space, we kind of understand why we are taking that call or a taste or a judgment on, okay, this is what we're going to build and this is what we're not going to build. When we're doing alone, sometimes every idea is a great idea. And also Claude will mention any copilot you talk to will say, great idea, this is golden.
Yes.
Right? So building that human layer and building that group of humans around you to support the things that you want to do, as well as contradict and guide you in the right way. So human taste and judgment are the biggest IP for humans, whereas skills and hooks and other things are for the agents.
Yes, absolutely. But as advertised, we need to talk about Claude Managed Agents today.
Yes, so I've been testing them for a couple of days now, and we've been listening about this for a week. So, cloud managed agents are fully cloud hosted AI agents by Anthropic. So, they handle the entire agent lifecycle for you. So from maintaining a conversation state to executing all the tools. So you can concentrate only on the agent logic, not the infrastructure. Because infrastructure is one of the pain points of, oh, if I need to have this agent, I need to have this in order for it to work. So Claude's saying that instead of you having to run your own servers or maintain your infrastructure, Anthropic takes care of the whole life cycle for you. So we just define what agent does, its instructions, its tools, and the model it uses, and they will handle everything else in the back end. So these agents can maintain long running conversations as well. They can spin up when you initiate them with the hooks and things in the back end. So they call the tools and like querying the database or reading files. They do all of this automatically. And in the demo in few minutes, we'll show how that interface is as well.
I'm so excited to see the demo. But let me just first make sure I understand. With Cloud Manage Agents, you can focus on agent logic, not infrastructure.
Yep.
And then you can define the agent's personality, like you can make a code reviewer or customer support agent or market researcher. And then you could list the tools that it can use. And then the agent will keep track of every interaction with the user and it will remember context across multiple systems and run autonomously. So what I understand is that Anthropic will manage the session persistence and memory across the different conversations. It will also manage tool execution, authentication, and sandboxing, and it will also do like fully scalability and uptime for these agents.
Yes, and I know I was thinking of an analogy that should match up to your snowshoe analogy, but I couldn't. So, in let me think of it this way, right? So, the way I could think of these managed agencies, in the past, you would hire your own agent. You build everything in-house in your own agents, right? So, in your own tenant, maybe or environment. What you're doing now is you're outsourcing that to Anthropic. So now Claude manages those agents, understands where they should sit, where they should use, what kind of computer they use, what kind of infrastructure they have. They will increase and decrease based on the usage. So in a way, we are kind of outsourcing this agent capability by saying, I want this done. I don't care how you do it or what kind of people you are using or what kind of infrastructure you have. I just want this done. This is my logic. Get the job done. So that's what Anthropic's trying to help. And basically, you lose a bit of control, but you gain that simplicity and speed is what they are going for.
No analogy will ever get to my snowshoeing analogy in episode 1, but this makes sense. I took a little bit of time to wrap my head around what is so special about managed agents. Maybe because we work for a company that has had managed agents for, so long and so many tools to build agents. I think what clicked for me is when I realized that Anthropic has not been a software provider until now. They were just a model shop, right? So their main focus was building models. And so it's a little bit of a shift for them to go from just creating the models to also creating these agent infrastructure. And then when I realized like kind of this is the shift, I also noticed that everyone is doing this. So this week, OpenAI announced that they will do workspace agents in ChatGPT. So users will also be able to create and use agents directly within ChatGPT's interface. And Gemini also just launched enterprise apps. So I find it's interesting that these sort of traditional model companies are shifting to this managed agent ecosystem. Why do you think? Why are they doing that?
In my view, in one of the ways, Microsoft has always been a platform company, right? So we had that platform. So for Microsoft, we have the Foundry agents, and we'll do that in the next episode. But the way I see every other company trying to compete now is the model itself is not going to bring them the revenue. They need to, but also model itself is kind of dependent on other people trying to provide that infrastructure for them. So if you want to build an agent with Claude, Claude is hoping that everyone else is building all the tools and everything for them. Same with ChatGPT, they are also thinking that, hey, you can build an agent on my ChatGPT, but in order for it to run, I need someone else to host them. And that is the friction point that they have been noticing, as well as customers are noticing the friction point of like, hey, Claude is amazing at all the things, but if I need to build an agent, I need to go to some other platform or some other company. So now they are trying to bring everything in house. And also, they're all making a lot of money in their fundings now. So now they can actually put that money towards something that will bring them money instead of just running on these models and improving models. Because models have saturated so much, they could actually put some money towards this infrastructure and other things to make those models work directly with a single click. So they're going with our low
Yes.
code approach that we were thinking in the old days.
Yes, yeah. And I can see how this has a lot of benefits for the users. What do you think? Like, are there any pros for like people using these this infrastructure?
Yes, I mean there are certain areas where we have really good pros for people. It's a fully managed service, right? So no infrastructure management needed. So if you're a small company, you don't need to think about, oh, what kind of enterprise license I need, or what kind of servers do I need, what GPUs I need in that server for this to run. Because a lot of the times agents will run, but in order for them to run, you need GPUs and other things. The second thing is thinking about the long-term memory. A lot of these agents, they persist across, like we are thinking like chatbot. Every time you make a conversation, it remembers that session, but not everything else. So I think what Claude has been trying to do here is that long-term memory. So that could be a really good pro for them. And the other one I also noticed was the automatic scaling. This is something that as IT people, we can figure out, like understand what it is. But if you are going for small businesses and others, they don't want to worry about like how many servers do I need to buy in order to scale if I have a big demand on a holiday time. If I'm a marketplace person or something, they don't need to worry about that scaling. They're going to do the scaling and they're charging around zero point 0.8 cents per hour or something like that, per session or something in that per hour. And also tool integration. Agent execute those tools seamlessly. Claude is really dependent on everyone having MCPs and APIs working. And that's one of the things that we really have to think about. But the tool integration, they're trying to make it very easy.
That makes sense. Although I also see a couple of drawbacks. Like one is it's a managed infrastructure, right? So that means you have limited control as an enterprise. So you're not managing the runtime. Whereas if you use a tool like Foundry, you can control the infrastructure. You can fully customize that, right? Because these managed agents will have limits to how much you can customize them. It might not be able to scale to like highly complex enterprise needs. Then the other thing, you're kind of dependent on Anthropic. You know, if you use an agent platform that has access to multiple models, you can change models because I feel like the leading model is constantly changing. So you might want to be able to say, hey, now I follow Anthropic's models, now I do GPT, and kind of change as the landscape evolves. But that's not going to be possible with their managed agents. If you need your data to be somewhere specific, you won't have control over that because it will be managed by Anthropic. That being said, what I really like is that I feel there's been this huge sort of gap between what you could do with Claude Chat, which was mostly used by non-technical people who just wanted to like chat and like get a generated answer, and Claude Code, which is in command line, so it's like very technical. And I feel like if you're someone who wants to do a little bit more than just chat, you want to have automations and you want to have things that repeat, but you don't want to go into command line, then there wasn't anything. So I like how they address this kind of in-between gap of creating something that non-technical users can create technical things.
One of the ways we were talking was, how would this work if you are a small company? Let's come up with like a company that we can think of. So let's say there is a guy called Joe. He has a plumbing company. He runs it with only 3 people. So that's the example I want to start talking about. But here's the interface. When you go into the Cloud platform, you'll be getting into the Cloud console. This is where you'll be beginning your journey. There is a build section, there is a managed agent section, and that's what we'll be talking today.
Can you go into quick start?
Yes, I'm in the quick start area now.
I love that they have like a prompt-based way that you can build this and some examples too, so people can like really get started easily. But sorry, you were talking about Joe's plumbing company.
So in my view, what I was thinking was, what if there is a need for them to have an agent, but they don't want to think anything about, hey, what kind of agent do I need to build and things like that. So let's begin. But before I begin, I want to show. So we built few agents. We were testing few of the things earlier. There are like few things that I think I can share. Is there is environments you can create. So you could create environments that are going to be for your test UAT. So you can have different environments, same like the other way. I know we said like a lot of the things are maintained by themselves, that there are still few things that you need to go. There is also this credential vault where you'll add all the credentials you need and things like that. So, but let's go start by building. The first thing you could do is you could pick any of the templates if you want, but we'll just jump into it because we know what this company needs from my side. So let's say what we can build for them. Okay, so hey, I'm Joe's plumbing company. I get a lot of customer calls and a lot of intake invoices. Sometimes it's very hard as a small company with 3 people for us to respond to every invoice and everything much faster. More importantly, I'm unable to schedule them on the calendar easily for me. I want an agent that can listen to these invoices and understand the context of those invoices and timelines and put those on my calendar, as well as create a plan for me on how can we achieve this based on how our schedule looks like over the month. So you would just start something like that. So what we can see here is, as soon as you entered what you need, you'll notice that the agent it's creating either a YAML or a JSON format for this. So we can clearly see here is it understands which model might be the best model. You can still change it if you want. So if you want to change to 4.7, you can do that. But it writes it in a simple human readable format as well. Though YAML is slightly different, they are keeping the same structure as our skills and everything. So it has the name, it has all the things, and we can already see that it's a schedule operation assistant. And then one thing I also wanted to see if it actually understood, where are we getting these invoices from? I don't think it understood. So let's add a couple things. All my invoices will be coming in through my Gmail account. So I want to use that in order to create this scheduler assistant. So as you can see, you can either create the agent or keep refining. I'm just going to keep refining with this prompt here. So it's going to go update that form. So here, Tina, what we are learning is it's mostly the system instruction that they are going with, right? And then the model that they're picking on their own. And it kind of understood the Google Calendar that generates monthly execution plan as well based on the thing. So after this, we could just say create the agent. And then I know I need to add some environment variables, so it's asking us right away. So, but it's very nice. Even if someone didn't know what to do here, it's clearly asking us create a configuration environment for this. So you could literally live in that quick start place, and then it will go and create all of those for you. I'm going to use our AI era environment for now, and then it should be asking us some Google credentials as well for us to go. So we can start the session for now, and then let's say your existing environment is ready to go. The session is live. Walls are shared across the workspaces. So this is something to remember as well. If you are sharing any credentials, they'll be shared across all of your agents that you'll be building, which could be a positive thing, but also, like you said, Tina, some of the drawbacks there we need to be thinking about. You can learn more from here. For now, we are only doing this, so let's just start with that and we'll create one of the credential worlds. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is how you would be beginning, like creating these agents, and you can see connecting all the Google workspaces. We'll create a detailed video with our next one where we are talking about hosted agents in Foundry versus this. We'll show the clear examples, but here's a simple way for us to show how you are creating those agents, what kind of environments and vaults you're creating. So hopefully this gives you an idea of what cloud agents are.
Thank you so much for the demo. And yes, we should definitely talk about Microsoft Foundry next because they now also have hosted agents. And we can put a link down for the announcement because that just came up. We want to answer questions. We want to add more segments to the show. So if you have a question, please put it in the comments. And then remember to subscribe so you can hear us answer your question in the next episode. And we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you. Bye.